Hello everybody, welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. Today we're going to be doing a head-to-head of all of the Glenmorangie Tales series. And this is those kind of videos that are really fun to make because not only is it just fun to drink and compare, but I'm also going to be comparing it against my previous notes. So obviously I give every whiskey a rating of ignore it, try it, buy it, stock it. And all 5 of these have that kind of rating. I went and took notes, reminded myself what I gave it. But not only am I going to kind of put them against each other to see which of the 5 I like the most and which of the 5 I like the least in a blind situation, I'm going to up it just one little bit. So I have here 5, I'm only going to be able to hold 4 because fingers, glasses. They're all unmarked, no branding or anything except for the colors that are on the bottom. Now, the colors that you see are going to let you know what I'm drinking, and I'm not going to know, which will make it way more fun. So we're going to go ahead and talk about all 5 of these, but before I do, something that I want to mention is that Dr. Bill Lumsden, who is the I forget his title, but it's something awesome. It's something I always forget. It's like Whiskey God, right? Of Glenmorangie. I think it's like director in charge of whiskey creation. I think that's something like that. Anyway, he wanted to make a bunch of whiskeys that were an expression of memories. And he said basically, smelling things has a very strong tie to memory. And that makes sense. Even the Signet and the Alta were developed the same way, the Signet being a reminiscent of coffee and the Alta being reminiscent of the barley outside of Glenmorangie. So in the case of the 5 Tale series, there's a story behind each one. So let's talk first about A Tale of Cake. Now, Dr. Bill thought to himself, hey, most of the things in our lives that are celebrations revolve around cake. Birthdays, weddings, just other various celebrations. Maybe sitting on your couch at night and being alone and drinking and eating cake. In this case, that's not Dr. Bill. That might be somebody else named Bill. So in this case, he was thinking about a story about him and his grandmother making pineapple upside down cake. And that's what this is about. Now, when I heard that descriptor, my original thought was, no way. Then when I drank it, I thought, oh my God, he nailed it. However, in this blind taste, I'm curious if I'm going to get those same notes. I think it'll be interesting to see. Then we ended up getting A Tale of Winter. Now, A Tale of Winter was, Dr. Bill was in a cabin that was kind of snowbound for a little while, and it wasn't like a dangerous situation, but he couldn't go anywhere, and so he thought, I really wish I had a whiskey that fit this situation. Now, I would typically turn to a bourbon. However, he thought he'd rather have a scotch. Makes sense. And nothing really existed. So he ended up making A Tale of Winter. Next, we have Glenmorangie, A Tale of the Forest. Now, this ended up coming from Dr. Bill, who would often go out in the woods and take walks, and there's a lot of different scents if you're out in the woods really enjoying yourself. But also, that he wanted to go back to this style of making whiskey from the early 1900s, where you would use kind of whatever you had as your fuel. It's not where the idea of burning peat came from, at least not at that time frame, but the idea of burning peat is the same kind of vibe, right? So in this case, they're burning juniper berries and blossoms and birch bark and a couple of other things. And those are what they're using to dry out the barley and ultimately make this whiskey. Next, number 4, we have A Tale of Tokyo. And this is where I feel like they didn't really have a great story behind this one, other than that it uses Mizunara. And Mizunara is a type of oak that's really porous and it's hard to work with, and honestly it's a pain in the butt. And you tend to lose a lot of your whiskey too, just by the way that you're aging your whiskey. It leaks, right? So in this case, Dr. Bill got a hold of 20 barrels of Mizunara and ended up making whiskey in it. So then I think he put ex-bourbon and ex-sherry barrels as well and mixed everything together. This whole thing is just, I don't want to say it's a mess, but it was definitely an experiment. Lastly, we have A Tale of Ice Cream. Now, A Tale of Ice Cream was promising when I read it. I was expecting something very different. Basically, the idea of this being the way that an ice cream tastes. Like, that was really it. It was supposed to be creamy. It was supposed to be like strawberries and other random things like vanilla, I'm sure. But I don't think it delivered on the ice cream promise, but it didn't make it a bad whiskey. So in the Tale of Ice Cream, this ended up being, it was ex-bourbon barrels with like lightly toasted barrels, and that brings out vanillins. So they considered them heavy vanillin barrels. And again, the idea is make it taste like vanilla. So those are our 5 bottles. I'm going to pour these all and we'll come right back. All right, I have all 5 of them poured. The Tale of Cake is going to be the yellow one. A Tale of Winter is going to be like this darker colored red. Then we have a Tale of the Forest, which of course is going to be green. We have a Tale of Tokyo, which is going to be orange. And then we have a Tale of Ice Cream, which is going to be pink. I don't know why I picked pink. It just sounded right. So I'm going to shuffle these all around. There's really only one of them that I think I can tell by color, and that's fine. I'll just try to maybe close my eyes when I'm picking them, or I'll try to make it as fair as I can, but can only do so much. I thought about doing the black Glencairns, but I thought you might like to be able to see the colors. Okay, so I'm going to put these back further so that I can't really see them. They're kind of up against my chest here. But then when I take a sip of them, you should be able to see it. I have some water, so, you know, I'll try to like fast forward through the parts that might be boring. Not the whole video, hopefully. But let's go ahead and do this. All right, cheers, everybody. I'm just going to say cheers once for all of them. So cheers to you. Happy Friday. That one has a drying sensation, almost like, it's definitely red wine finish, I think. I hope you were able to see the color. I'm just going to do this so that you can, hopefully you can see that color. All right, I closed my eyes, as you can see. So anyway, the taste here is Madeira. It's drying. It's a little bit spicy, maybe just a tad. It does remind me a little bit of, really just red berries. Hold on. It's very overpowered. I would never guess this was a Glenmorangie if I didn't know. And all I'm really tasting is a red wine Madeira style finish. So that's what I would guess. I'm trying to think of any other red wines taste like that. Like honestly, maybe even a Cabernet. But I'm convinced it's a red wine finish, which means that it's probably going to either be the Tokyo or the Winter. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try to guess. I don't really want to know. The good news is I also have no real stake here. The only one I've really proclaimed my love for is A Tale of Cake. And if I'm wrong, I frankly don't care because I can't buy the bottle anymore. All right, next one. Okay. That one's pretty light and sweet. I'm just going to close my eyes again. Here's the color. So this one's light and sweet in my mind, but it's more light than anything. Like it tastes a little tannic, a little oaky. It doesn't have a whole lot of berry flavor. I wouldn't say it's overly caramel or vanilla either, although there is a hint of vanilla. Yeah, I would say vanilla. Maybe like a watered down caramel as well. I'm going to have another sip of this one. I'm closing my eyes, that way I can't see the monitor because I watch myself here. So hopefully, you know, that's at least coming across. I'm not being pretentious and trying to concentrate. Just letting you see the color and not me. Drinking this one, it tastes exactly the same. The flavor here is, it's not really doing a whole lot for me, really. It's not bad. It's more of a, what do I want to say? What does this taste like? It tastes like air. Like, it really does. It tastes like oaky air. Anyway, I'm not sure. Let me try another, the next one. I feel like I want to get more off of these, but this is just the first sip. This one smells a lot like caramel and vanilla. Wow. Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the, the ice cream one, just wondering off of the nose alone. That one's pretty good. It's definitely reminiscent of bourbon, for sure. It's definitely oak. It's definitely caramel, lighter caramel. It's heavier vanilla, for sure. There's a little bit of char there. I'm almost confident that this one's the ice cream. I don't remember what the ice cream tastes like, even though I only did it a few weeks ago. But what else? It could be the forest, though, because I'm getting a little bit of like a gin feeling, like the juniper berries. So that's interesting. So at least I think I have the things up on the side, but just, it could be the green one, it could be the pink one, at least from my guesses. I guess I am going to be guessing. Let me take a minute to remind you all of the Flaviar Advent Calendar that I did a video on last week. If you haven't seen that, you should go check that one out. It wasn't a very highly viewed video, so you might have missed it. But the Flaviar Advent Calendar, like, really cool stuff. I liked it a lot last year. It's a really fun way to have a whole bunch of new whiskeys. So if you're interested in that, check the link. I'll put it down in the comments below, I guess. Ooh, this is a weird one. So here's the color. So that's for Editor Bill later, and for you. This one has such a strange flavor and nose to it. Trying to put my finger on it. I need a sec. Like, I want to say minty, but I want to also say, like, very vegetal. Yeah, very earthy. Very earthy. That's an interesting one. I really like the smell on this one, actually. Let's try to taste. Cheers. Taste a little less so, but very much, like, I actually think this might be the green one. No, I don't know. I don't care. I need to stop doing that. This is so interesting. What the heck does this even taste like? Like, it tastes like juniper berries again. But it tastes like a rye almost. Like, that's really weird. Like, if I didn't know better, I would say this is like some sort of weak ABV bourbon with a high rye mash bill. That's kind of how it tastes. But then it's also malty. So maybe I'd say it's like a 13% malt or something like that. This is interesting. I really like this one, but in a very strange way. Like, I don't think this one would be for everybody. But let me move along. That one, oh man, I'm so on the fence whether I really like that or kind of dislike it. It's hard to say. It's interesting, at least. All right, last one. So here's your color. All right. Ooh, this one smells like caramel as well. Heavy, creamy vanilla. Yeah. You know what this smells like? This smells like, I think they're called cowtails. I'm sure they're called something else, but they're like the caramel with that surrounds the little white thing. I'll put a picture up here somewhere just so you can see what I'm talking about, but I've always known them as cowtails. Huh. Smells pretty good. Cheers. Taste is a little bit less awesome. What would that taste like? Oranges, a little bit, like very small amount. Maybe some lemon, so like I'm getting a citrusy vibe. But also, what else? What does it taste like? Tell me. No, let me see. Little herbal. The creaminess that was on the nose is not coming across in the taste. This might be one of the more interesting of the five as far as picking it apart. I feel like there's a lot going on here that I'm not tasting. And what's weirder too is that the ABV didn't get me very much at the beginning, but it's much stronger towards the end. Like after a couple of sips, I'm like, oh, okay. I think these are all the same ABV. I'd have to double check that. I'll just say either yes it is or no it's not up here. But either way, I do enjoy the taste of this. I think it's pretty good. All right. It was growing on me. Like, it grew on me after a couple minutes. Okay. So now that I've tasted all of these, I still don't know what is what. I haven't really looked at them. The colors I was worried were going to give it away. So I'm really trying not to look at these. So, I guess let's do it this way. First off, have you had any of these? If you have, what was your favorite? So definitely let me know in the comments below. I'm going to kind of fast forward this part, like we'll do like a hyperlapse or whatever you call it. I'm going to taste all of them once more, and then I'm going to try to give them a rating. That didn't make it much easier. This is very hard to do. Trying to pick my favorite. So the way I currently have them, I'm just going to kind of let you see here. I guess I'd say I have 2 of them that are in the front. I have 1 in the middle and then 2 of them that are slightly behind. So the one that I currently feel is my least favorite, although I think there was only one of these that didn't taste fantastic, and it was this one. So again, close my eyes. So that one is currently my least favorite. And then my 4th place, I guess, would be this one. So then my 3rd place would be this one. And then I kind of have a tie for these 2, so I guess I'll hold them both up. So of those 5, I'm going to take one more round around and see if I want to change anything. I'm going to start off with the 2 that I have in first because those were really close and I'd rather save what's left of my palate to taste them. So let's try that. So I just had 15 sips of whiskey. So now it's going to start to get a little harder to taste anything. So I think I'm going to just settle on what I've picked here. So not a whole lot has changed. My bottom is still this one, number 5. So I'm actually going to look at this point. So number 5 is Tale of Tokyo. So that's my least favorite. Not a huge surprise. The Mizunara, I remember it not really doing it for me during the course of the video that I originally filmed on it, which, by the way, you can find, I'll link all of my videos to all 5 of these in the description below. So number 4 was A Tale of the Forest. I'm a little surprised, although I will say I think I was pretty spot on with my tasting notes on that one, because I was pretty sure I called out juniper berries on 2 of them, which gives me a 2 out of 5 chance of being right. But either way, I think that was pretty good. All right, number 3, I could tell by the color, so I'm happy I wasn't able to see it. This one is A Tale of Winter, and I did like this one a lot. Actually, I would say these 2 were definitely down. The other 3 are pretty close to each other. So A Tale of Winter gets number 3. Number 2 is going to be, what's that? Oh, A Tale of Ice Cream. Okay, very cool. I think I actually called that one as being A Tale of Ice Cream when I was doing it, even though I was trying not to do that. And then, not a huge surprise, A Tale of Cake ended up being my favorite, which is a little sad because that was the first one that they put out. And I've long since suspected that Dr. Bill basically tasted that and then came up with the story and was like, this tastes like pineapple. I have a story for this. Let's try to do a whole series. And then each one kind of stretches a little bit too far. I will continue to buy them as they come out because I think it's a cool thing and I just love to collect all the things. But I really feel like he had that one good barrel and then just tried to do something of it. But maybe that's me. I almost forgot. I need to tell you whether I would still buy these or not. So, in the case of the Tale of Winter, I originally gave it a rating of ignore it. I actually think that you should potentially, if you can get your hands on this one, maybe they have some left around and it's wintertime, people are putting them out, this one would be worth getting. I think it actually matured and got better, so consider getting that one. A Tale of Tokyo, I originally gave it, let's see, I gave it a buy it / try it. At this point, I think ignore it. Then A Tale of the Forest, I originally gave a buy it to. Now, I don't really love that anymore. It's a unique taste. It could be worth it to buy it, but I think I'll lower that down to a try it. A Tale of Ice Cream, I originally gave a buy it. I actually agree. I think that one's pretty good. It's on the verge, but I think it's still worth it. And then A Tale of Cake, of course, is a buy it. And I originally gave it a buy it. So I've definitely changed my mind. I think that's it. This was fun. Please let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this. I have a billion whiskeys behind me and over there too, and I could certainly do more of these things. Let me know what you'd like to see me do head to head. That would be really fun. I've done a spot whiskey one in the past. I'll put a link down to that below as well. And I think I did Old Granddad, but that's just more of a vertical. I've done Redbreast. That one was a vertical as well. So I've done a lot of these. I've done a lot of videos. All right. Thank you everybody for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary. Be sure to check out the Patreon, and there's a link to that below as well. And I hope you have a great rest of your night. Cheers.